Have you ever felt like you're just too much for the world around you? Like your emotions run deeper, your question cut sharper, or your dreams feel bigger than anyone else's? What if I told you that feeling like an outsider isn't a flaw? It's proof you're one of the rarest souls on Earth. Hi. Welcome to Young Psyche Hub, where we dive into the brilliance of Carl Jung to uncover what makes you extraordinary. Today, we're revealing 8 unmistakable signs that your personality is rarer than you think. Inspired by Jung's timeless wisdom, picture this: Sarah, a young woman who always felt out of place, discovered through Jung's teachings that her intensity wasn't a burden, it was her superpower. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these signs in yourself, but also learn how to embrace them to unlock your true potential. So, let me ask you, have you ever been told you're too deep, too intense, or too different? Stick with us, because we're about to show you why that's exactly what makes you remarkable. Let's dive into the first sign. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly sensed the unspoken tension, like a storm brewing beneath calm waters? Or maybe you felt joy so intense it brought tears to your eyes. Or sadness, so heavy it seemed to carry the weight of the world. If this sounds like you, congratulations, you're not overly emotional. You're gifted with what Carl Jung called an affect-toned complex, a psychological radar that lets you experience emotions in a way most people never will. Let's meet Anna, a 30-year-old graphic designer who always felt like her emotions were too much. At work, she'd notice a colleague's forced smile and sense their hidden frustration, even when no one else did. Once, during a team meeting, Anna picked up on her boss's anxiety about a project deadline just from the way he fidgeted with his pen. While others brushed it off, Anna's gut told her something was off. Later, when the project hit a snag, her boss confided in her. Amazed at how she'd read the room so accurately, Anna's emotional depth wasn't a weakness, it was her superpower. Carl Jung discovered that people like Anna don't just feel emotions, they process them like ocean currents, deep and transformative. This isn't emotional instability, it's emotional sophistication. Carl Jung believed this ability allows you to tap into layers of human experience most people suppress. You notice the unspoken, like when a friend says, "I'm fine," but their eyes tell a different story. You feel the weight of a conversation's subtext, picking up on what's left unsaid. This is your psyche working at a higher frequency, tuned to the undercurrents of life. But here's the catch. Society often tells you to tone it down. You've probably been called too sensitive or dramatic, as if feeling deeply is a flaw. Carl Jung saw this differently. He said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your emotional depth isn't a burden. It's a gift that helps you navigate the world with profound insight. But without the right tools, it can feel overwhelming. So, how do you harness this gift without letting it drain you?" Carl Jung suggested a simple practice: journaling your emotional currents. Take 5 minutes each day to write down what you feel and why. For Anna, this meant recognizing that her sadness after a tough day wasn't just about her, it was her empathy picking up on her team's stress. By naming her emotions, she stopped blaming herself and started using her sensitivity to connect with others more authentically. This emotional radar makes you rare, but it also comes with a responsibility. Carl Jung warned that suppressing your emotions to fit in can lead to what he called psychological splitting, a disconnection from your true self. Instead, embrace your depth. Let it guide you to deeper relationships, better decisions, and a life aligned with who you are. So, what's the takeaway? Your intense emotions aren't too much. They're a sign of a rare personality wired for depth. Lean into them. and you'll unlock a level of understanding most people never reach. Ready for the next sign? Let's talk about why your relentless curiosity sets you apart. Have you ever found yourself asking why? When everyone else seems content with what, why do people stay in jobs that drain them? Why do we accept traditions that no longer make sense? If you're the kind of person who can't help but dig beneath the surface, you're not being difficult. You're exhibiting one of the rarest traits. Carl Jung identified a relentless curiosity, driven by what he called the transcendent function. This is your mind's refusal to settle for shallow answers, and it's a sign of a truly unique personality. Let's meet James, a 27-year-old software engineer who always felt like the odd one out in his office. During team meetings, while others nodded along to the company's outdated processes, James couldn't stop asking, "Why are we doing it this way?" His questions annoyed his manager at first, who called him overly critical. But one day, James's probing led to a bold suggestion, a new workflow that cut project delivery time by 30%. His team was stunned, and his manager had to admit James's curiosity had sparked a breakthrough. What others saw as disruptive, James saw as necessary. His need to question wasn't rebellion, it was a search for truth. Carl Jung believed that most people live what he called unconscious lives, accepting societal norms without a second thought. But you're wired differently. Carl Jung described your curiosity as an active thinking function, a psychological drive to uncover deeper truths. You don't just wonder why people stay in toxic relationships, you want to understand what keeps them stuck. You don't just notice broken systems, you envision how they could be better. This isn't about being contrarian, it's about being psychologically honest. Carl Jung said, "The greatest sin is to remain unconscious." Your questions are your way of staying awake in a world that often sleepwalks through life. But here's the challenge: your curiosity can make you feel isolated. Carl Jung noted that people like you, with what he called prophetic consciousness, often see where things are headed before others do. You might question a friend's unhealthy habits or challenge a workplace policy, only to be labeled as negative or too intense. The truth is, your questions threaten the comfortable illusions others cling to. But Jung had a solution for navigating this tension: channel your curiosity with purpose. Instead of just asking why, use your insights to propose solutions, like James did. This turns your curiosity from a source of conflict into a catalyst for change. Here's a practical takeaway. Try the 3 whys exercise. When something bothers you, a rule, a behavior, or even your own reaction, ask why 3 times. For example, why am I frustrated at work might lead to, why does this process feel inefficient? And then, why haven't we updated it? By the 3rd why, you're closer to the root of the issue and can act on it. James used this approach to transform his workplace. And you can too. Have you ever felt like you had to carve your own path, even when everyone else was following the crowd? If you've built a life that stands firm no matter what others think, you're not just stubborn, you're showcasing what Carl Jung called individuation, the psychological journey to becoming your true self. This fierce independence is a hallmark of a rare personality, and it's not something you chose, it's something you earned. Meet Mark, a 35-year-old artist who grew up in a family that expected him to become a lawyer. From a young age, Mark felt suffocated by their demands, but he couldn't shake the pull to create art that spoke to his soul. When he announced he was dropping out of law school to pursue painting, his family called him reckless. Friends warned he'd fail, yet Mark stood his ground, working late nights in a tiny studio, teaching himself to trust his vision. Today, his artwork hangs in galleries, and he credits his success to one thing: refusing to let others define him. Mark's independence wasn't defiance, it was his path to wholeness. Carl Jung believed that most people never fully embark on the journey of individuation because it's terrifying. It means facing what Jung called the shadow, the parts of yourself society tells you to hide. For Mark, that shadow was his impractical love for art. For you, it might be your unconventional dreams, your refusal to settle, or your need for authenticity over approval. Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Your independence is proof you're doing just that. Often through adversity, you've learned that relying on others for validation is like building a house on quicksand. Instead, you've constructed an identity that's unshakable, rooted in your own truth. But here's the paradox: your independence can attract both admiration and resistance." Jung noted that rare personalities like yours draw people who crave your strength, but also repel those who feel threatened by it. You might notice friends pulling away when you prioritize your path, or partners trying to tame your fire. This isn't because you're too much. It's because your authenticity challenges others to face their own fears. Jung's advice: stay true to your journey, but practice discernment. Not everyone deserves a front-row seat to your life. Here's a practical takeaway to harness your independence without burning bridges. Try the values check-in. Once a month, write down 3 things that matter most to you. Your core values, like creativity, freedom, or truth. Then, ask yourself, are my choices aligning with these values for Mark? This meant saying no to a lucrative corporate job that would have stifled his art. For you, it might mean setting boundaries with people who dim your light. This exercise keeps your independence grounded in purpose, not isolation. Your fierce independence isn't a flaw, it's a triumph. It's the result of countless moments where you chose yourself over conformity. Carl Jung believed this makes you a beacon for others, showing them what's possible when you live authentically. So, what happens when this independence meets an almost psychic intuition? Let's explore that in the next sign. Have you ever known something was off before anyone else could see it? Maybe you sensed a friend's distress despite their cheerful facade, or you felt a shift in a room's energy that others ignored. If this feels familiar, you're not imagining things. You're gifted with what Carl Jung called intuition, a psychological function so powerful it borders on psychic. This ability to see the unseen is a hallmark of a rare personality, and it's more than a gut feeling. It's your mind tapping into the unconscious. Let's meet Lisa, a 42-year-old schoolteacher who always seemed to know things others missed. During a parent-teacher conference, Lisa noticed a student's mother hesitating, her smile tight and her hands fidgety, while others might have moved on. Lisa gently asked, "Is everything okay at home?" That simple question opened the floodgates. The mother confessed her son was struggling with bullying, something no one else had picked up on. Lisa's intuition didn't just help her student, it built trust that changed a family's dynamic. Her ability to read between the lines wasn't luck, it was a superpower. Carl Jung revolutionized psychology by recognizing intuition as a legitimate way of perceiving reality. He described it as perception via the unconscious, where your mind picks up patterns and truths that escape conscious awareness. You don't just see a person's words, you notice their micro-expressions, the pause before they speak, the energy they carry. Carl Jung called this active imagination, a rare gift that lets you sense what's hidden. You might walk into a meeting and feel the tension before a single word is spoken. Or no, a decision is wrong, even when the logic seems sound. This isn't paranoia, it's your psyche operating at a higher level of sensitivity. But here's the catch. This gift can be exhausting if you don't protect it. Jung warned that highly intuitive people often become unconscious therapists, absorbing others' emotions without meaning to. You might find yourself carrying the weight of a friend's unspoken pain or regulating a group's tension without being asked. This can drain you, leaving your own needs unmet. Jung's solution: establish psychological boundaries. One practical way to do this is the energy check-in before entering a conversation or situation. Pause and ask yourself, what's mine? And what's theirs? This helps you separate your emotions from what you're picking up, so you can stay empathetic without burning out. For Lisa, this meant learning to step back after sensing others' struggles, offering support only when it was healthy for her. She started journaling after intense interactions, noting what emotions were hers versus what she'd absorbed. This simple practice kept her intuition sharp without overwhelming her. Carl Jung believed that intuitive people like you are natural healers, but only if you learn to protect your energy. Your intuition isn't just a quirk, it's a rare gift that lets you navigate life with uncanny insight. It's what makes you a truth seeker in a world that often overlooks the subtle. So, what happens when this intuition pairs with a craving for deeper meaning? Let's dive into that in the next sign. Have you ever felt a restless ache inside? Like you're meant for something bigger than chasing external validation? If you've walked away from a perfect life because it felt hollow, you're not alone, and you're not crazy. This is what Carl Jung called the drive for meaning, a psychological force so powerful it defines a rare personality. Your refusal to settle for a shallow existence is a sign you're wired for authenticity, and it's one of the most profound gifts you carry. Let's meet Sarah, a 38-year-old marketing executive who seemed to have it all: a high-flying career, a corner office, and a life others envied. But every morning, Sarah woke up with a gnawing emptiness. The promotions, the praise, the paycheck, they didn't fill the void. One day, she stumbled across a quote from Jung: "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." It hit her like a lightning bolt. Sarah realized she was living for everyone else's approval, not her own truth. So, she took a leap, quitting her job to start a non-profit that helped underprivileged kids discover their passions. It wasn't easy. Friends called her reckless, and her savings dwindled. But for the first time, Sarah felt alive, aligned with a purpose that lit her soul on fire. Jung believed that most people avoid true meaning because it requires rejecting society's script. You, however, I can't live that way. Your psyche demands authenticity, refusing to let you settle for relationships built on convenience or achievements that lack substance. When you tried to play the role others expected, maybe the good employee or the perfect friend, you felt a quiet rebellion inside. What Jung called neurotic symptoms. This isn't weakness, it's your soul refusing to betray itself. Jung said, "What you resist persists." By chasing meaning over popularity, you're breaking free from that cycle. But here's the challenge: choosing meaning can feel like swimming against the tide. Society rewards conformity, and your pursuit of authenticity might make you feel like an outsider. Jung understood this as a necessary tension. Your refusal to settle doesn't just transform your life, it challenges others to question their own inauthenticity. You become what Jung called an evolutionary catalyst, sparking change simply by living true to yourself. So, how do you stay grounded in this pursuit? Jung's advice was to connect with your inner compass. Try this practical exercise: the purpose pause. Once a week, sit quietly for 10 minutes and ask, what feels true to me right now? Write down whatever comes up. No judgment. For Sarah, this meant realizing her corporate job clashed with her value of helping others. For you, it might mean rethinking a relationship or career path. This practice keeps you aligned with your deeper purpose. Even when the world pulls you towards superficial goals, your craving for meaning isn't a flaw, It's a sign of a rare personality that dares to live authentically. You're not here to fit in. You're here to redefine what's possible. So, what happens when this drive for meaning leads you to outgrow the people and places around you? Let's explore that in the next sign. Have you ever looked around and realized the people or places that once felt like home no longer fit? If you felt the sting of outgrowing relationships or environments, you're not drifting apart, you're evolving. Carl Jung called this psychological death and rebirth, a transformative process that marks a rare personality. Your ability to let go of what no longer serves you is a sign you're walking the path of authenticity, and it's one of the most powerful indicators of your uniqueness. Let's meet Emily, a 29-year-old writer who spent years surrounded by friends who loved her but didn't understand her. Growing up, Emily was the people pleaser, always dimming her light to fit in. But as she dove deeper into her passion for writing, she started questioning everything: her values, her goals, even her friendships. She noticed her old friends felt distant, not because they fought, but because their conversations stayed surface level while Emily craved depth. Letting go was painful. She feared being alone. But when she joined a writers' group, she found people who matched her intensity. For the first time, Emily felt seen, not for who she was pretending to be, but for who she was becoming. Her growth wasn't loss, it was rebirth. Jung believed that outgrowing your environment is a natural part of individuation, the journey to becoming your true self. Most people cling to familiarity, even when it stifles them, because change is scary. But you can't stay in a life that no longer aligns with your soul. Jung described this as a dark night of the soul, a period of loneliness that tests your commitment to authenticity. It's not about rejecting others, it's about honoring your evolution. You might notice friends wanting the old you back, the one who didn't ask big questions or chase big dreams. But Jung knew that psychological growth is irreversible. Once you've shed the layers of who you're not, there's no going back. The challenge: this transition can feel isolating. Jung warned that rare personalities often face existential loneliness as they forge their own path. The key is to embrace this as a sacred pause, not a punishment, to navigate it. Try the reflection ritual once a month. Write down one thing you've outgrown: a habit, a relationship, or a belief, and one thing you're stepping into, like a new passion or connection. For Emily, this meant letting go of friendships that felt draining and embracing a community that celebrated her depth. This practice helps you see growth as a bridge to something better, not a loss. Your ability to outgrow what no longer fits isn't a sign of failure. It's proof of a rare personality that dares to evolve. Jung believed people like you attract relationships of extraordinary depth. Once you honor your path, you're not leaving people behind. You're making space for those who resonate with the real you. So, what happens when this authenticity lets you create space for others in a distracted world? Let's explore that in the next sign. Have you ever noticed that people open up to you in ways they don't with others? Like when a friend shares a secret they've never told anyone, or a stranger feels safe enough to confess their fears. If this happens to you often, it's not by chance. You possess what Carl Jung called psychological holding space, a rare ability to make others feel truly seen and heard. This profound presence is a hallmark of an extraordinary personality, and it's a gift that can transform lives, including your own. Let's meet Daniel, a 45-year-old barista who always seemed to be everyone's confidant. At his coffee shop, customers didn't just order drinks, they poured out their hearts. One day, a regular named Claire lingered at the counter, her eyes heavy with unspoken worry. Daniel didn't rush her or offer quick fixes. He simply listened, asking gentle questions that made her feel understood. Claire later told him that their brief chat helped her process a painful breakup more than months of therapy. Daniel's ability to be fully present wasn't just kindness. It was a form of psychological healing that Jung recognized as rare and powerful. Jung believed that creating this kind of space is more than empathy. It's a transformative act. He said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances if there is any reaction. Both are transformed. Your presence doesn't just hear words. It perceives the emotions behind them. You notice the quiver in someone's voice, the hesitation in their smile. You don't judge or interrupt. You create a safe harbor where truth can emerge. This makes people feel human, complex, and worthy in a world that's often too distracted to care. But here's the catch. This gift can come at a cost if you don't protect it." Jung warned that people with this ability often fall into what he called helper syndrome, where you give so much emotional energy that you neglect your own needs. You might find yourself playing therapist for friends, family, or even strangers, carrying their burdens while your own go unaddressed. To avoid burnout, Jung emphasized the importance of discernment. A practical way to do this is the energy boundary practice. Before engaging in a deep conversation, ask yourself, do I have the capacity to hold space right now? If not, it's okay to set boundaries, politely redirect, or take time for yourself. Daniel learned this the hard way. After feeling drained from constant emotional labor, he started scheduling quiet evenings to recharge, which helped him stay present without losing himself. Your profound presence isn't just a skill, it's a rare gift that makes you a beacon in a distracted world. Jung believed people like you help others reconnect with their humanity, fostering healing through authentic connection. But to keep shining, you must balance giving with self-care. So, what happens when this presence aligns with a sense of purpose bigger than yourself? Let's uncover that in the final sign. Have you ever felt a quiet, persistent pull towards something bigger than yourself, even if you can't quite name it? That restless knowing that you're meant to contribute something unique to the world. This isn't wishful thinking. It's what Carl Jung called the transcendent function. Your psyche's drive to align with a purpose that goes beyond personal gain. This sense of a larger calling is the final sign of a rare personality, and it's proof you're not just here for yourself. You're here to shape the future of human consciousness. Let's meet Aisha, a 32-year-old community organizer who always felt she was destined for more than a conventional life. Growing up, she was drawn to causes that seemed small but felt monumental, organizing cleanups in her neighborhood, mentoring kids who felt lost. She couldn't explain why these acts mattered so much, but they gave her a sense of alignment she'd never found in a 9-to-5 job. One day, Aisha started a local initiative to teach young people about mental health. Inspired by Jung's ideas of self-discovery, what began as a small project grew into a movement, touching hundreds of lives. Aisha's purpose wasn't about fame, it was about answering a call her soul couldn't ignore. Jung believed that people like you, with this undefined but urgent sense of purpose, are responding to an archetypal calling. This isn't about grandeur or ego, it's about living in harmony with your deepest nature. You feel it, that restless urge to create, to heal, to inspire. It might show up as a need to write, to advocate, or to build something meaningful. Jung said, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." But here's the challenge. Ignoring this calling can lead to what Jung called neurotic symptoms, anxiety, emptiness, or a sense of being lost. Your psyche demands you act on this purpose, even if it's not fully clear yet. The danger Jung warned that recognizing your purpose can sometimes lead to inflation, feeling superior instead of humbly powerful. The key is balance, knowing you're special without thinking you're above others. To stay grounded, try the purpose journaling practice. Each week, write down one small action you took that felt meaningful. No matter how tiny. Maybe you helped a friend, started a project, or spoke your truth. Then, ask, how does this connect to my bigger calling for Aisha? This meant seeing her small community efforts as steps toward a larger mission of healing. This practice helps you clarify your purpose without overwhelming you. Your sense of a larger purpose isn't delusion, it's a sign you're a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. As Jung described, you're here to push humanity toward greater awareness, whether through art, connection, or change. This is why you can't settle for ordinary. So, embrace this calling. However unclear it feels now, it's leading you to a life of profound impact. As we wrap up, let's reflect on how these signs make you extraordinary. So, there you have it. 8 powerful signs that your personality isn't just different, it's extraordinary. From your emotional depth to your relentless curiosity, your fierce independence to your profound presence, you're not too much for the world. The world is catching up to you. Carl Jung spent his life studying rare souls like you. Those he called the differentiated individuals, the ones who push humanity forward with their courage to live authentically. As Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. You're doing that every day. And in doing so, you're lighting the way for others to do the same. But this is just the beginning. Your unique gifts, your intuition, your purpose, your refusal to settle are here to change the world. One truthful moment at a time. So, here's what I want you to do. Drop a comment below and tell us which of these 8 signs resonated with you the most. Was it your emotional radar, your craving for meaning, or that sense of a bigger calling? Share this video with someone who needs to hear they're not alone in feeling different. And if you want to dive deeper into Carl Jung's wisdom, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a video from Jung Psyche Hub. Together, let's keep exploring what makes you extraordinary. Because you're not just rare, you're revolutionary.